When I was a child, I used to draw shapes overlapping, like endless Venn diagrams. My parents said, "Rosalind, maybe you should draw people. Don't you want to draw our family, our little dog?" I didn't. I drew patterns of the tiniest repeating structures. And when I first got to use my father's camera, I went outside and found 4 leaves. I arranged them carefully on the curb, but the photograph I took was not of leaves. See, nothing is ever just one thing. This was a map, rivers, the veins of a barren land. And when I told my father I wanted to become a scientist, he said, "Ah, I see." Then he said no. Dear Mr. Casper, thank you for your letter. Published articles are published, and therefore you can access them just as well as I can. It might be possible, however, to send X-ray images so long as you assure me you know how to read them. I would prefer to avoid misinterpretations of my work cropping up all over New Haven. I should like to maintain the reputation your Dr. Dewhurst so kindly attributes to me.
Dear Dr. Franklin, I have indeed received the images, and I can't thank you enough. They've opened up for me. You've opened up for me a whole new... What I mean is, I've never seen anything like them. I could stare at them for hours, and they still wouldn't reveal all of their secrets. Not that I mean I can't read them. I can read them. I just mean that they're beautiful. These shapes within shapes, shapes overlapping, shapes that mean more than just what they seem at first glance. But they're also beautiful, simply for what they are. I think one sees something new each time.
One looks at truly beautiful things.
One sees something new each time, one looks at truly beautiful things?
Yes, I think so. So does she.
Now it's just all new things with much frequency.
Come out and be fair.
In my version, Rosalind is serious but not without humor. She's beautiful in an unconventional way. She wears wonderful feminine clothing when she's not at work. At work, she is not a body but a mind, and I am too. Always focused, always on top of things, charging at my work like a thirsty bull on the road to water. I take directions, but I give them too. I never betrayed her.
In my imagination, we end up together. She doesn't get sick and she doesn't die. In my imagination, I loved her enough, and before it was too late. In my reality, on the other hand, I worried. I slowed her, right when she needed to speed up. But I assured myself that she was doing what she wanted, and that was the most important thing. And that we all have different important things, and maybe I was hers for a short time.
In my version, Rosalind hurt herself. She had the skills necessary to do it, but she just couldn't use them. It wasn't in her genes to win this particular race, not even really to be in it. And I'm referring not just to the race for DNA, but to that larger one too, the one we all enter into, only to realize, for one reason of any number of reasons, that we have failed.
Or she wasn't good enough, and she was thwarted by any possibility of success. By clinging childlessly to some notion of independence that simply can't work in society. It just can't work. Would I have gotten that double helix without Crick? Absolutely not. And she would have never gotten it. Not in a week, not in a month. Never, 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 I'm sure of it. Because history, like life, isn't always fair. And it's not always kind. And has not allowed unpleasant facts. If she lost, she simply lost.
But she didn't cling to a notion of independence. I'm sure, just as I did. She hoped we could be partners. It just wasn't meant to be, I suppose. But I can't even get any of it straight in my head. Even after all of this, I can't keep the facts straight. What actually happened, and what should have happened. Sometimes I think that in 1962, if she was alive and well and received the Nobel Prize, surely she would have, because surely Watson and Crick wouldn't have succeeded without her contributions, our contributions. Some of them were mine too, after all, weren't they? And you can't fault her for not making a model. Hardly anyone made models. Most of the structures that have been discovered, even to this day, have been discovered through the methods Rosalind employed.
And my version, it doesn't exist. I'm not there to tell it, am I? You know, I think we might be defined by the things we want, but cannot have.
What do you mean?
I mean, the things we're afraid to ask for or don't feel we deserve.
Rosalind?
Or perhaps most of all, by other people who feel they've seen us, but really haven't seen a thing.